We're Technical Safety BC, your safety regulator for technical systems across British Columbia. We regulate 7 technologies, many of which you use every day. That includes electrical and gas systems, boilers, pressure vessels, and elevators. We also oversee amusement devices, passenger ropeways, and railways. When you think about all the places where these technologies operate, like your home, workplace, or school, it's easy to see that regulated equipment is all around us. So how can you really know the equipment is safe? That's where we come in. We oversee regulated technical equipment throughout its lifespan, from design, installation, and operation, to when it needs maintenance and even when it needs to be disposed of or repurposed. But we can't be everywhere at once. To help us decide on where we need to be to maximize our impact, we use our Structured Resource Allocation Program, or SRA. Here's how it works. We gather safety and assessment data from incident and hazard reports to identify patterns of unsafe behavior and hazardous technical equipment. We analyze the risk factors using machine learning to help us prioritize inspecting high-rate hazards for electrical and gas equipment, statistical sampling to test our risk hypotheses, investigation of reoccurring hazards and assessment data from incidents reported to us by the public, and the expert advice and knowledge of our safety officers out in the field. Using risk analysis and SRA helps us prioritize the biggest threats to BC's safety system while keeping costs down for clients and homeowners. Of course, a functioning safety system also relies on our clients, the thousands of skilled workers who work on equipment and whose expertise helps keep you safe. You can help too. If you spot a safety hazard or incident, report it. These reports help us improve our risk assessment capabilities. We're safer together. If you want to get involved and help build a safer BC, visit technicalsafetybc.ca.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Core Connections 2025. My name is Courtney Chu, and I'm the leader of our marketing team at Technical Safety BC. It is my pleasure to join you once again as your host for this annual event. Today, I'm grateful to be joining you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I acknowledge this land's significance for these nations and that I'm here as an uninvited guest on these territories. Today, we're going to be providing an update of our priorities over the past year, review our financial results, and answer any of your questions during the Q&A session. By popular demand, as a discussion topic, we'll be presenting incidents of unpermitted, unqualified, unlicensed work and their consequences, as well as what we're doing to actively pursue those who are working outside of the safety system. Before we start, please note this session is being recorded and closed captioning is available by clicking the captions button at the bottom of your screen. Likewise, you can submit questions by using the Q&A function also at the bottom of your screen. We do have a very busy agenda this morning, so let's begin. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Doug Harris from the Shteymis Nation. Doug is the Housing Service Delivery Coordinator at the First Nations Housing and Infrastructure Council of BC, serving the South Island area and the Lower Mainland. Welcome, Doug.
Hi, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. I squeal see na see at ya. No wheelum. No wheelum. On behalf of Technical Safety BC, Core Connections 2025. Hi Tseapka, Atanaquail. Ain Thapat, Doug Harris. The Hualmuchsne, Tel Wheelum. Tani Tanalt Stumanus. I Thukmin Lelam. Good morning, respected friends and relatives. Welcome. Welcome. On behalf of Technical Safety BC, Core Connections 2025, thankful to all of you for being here today. My name is Doug Harris. My traditional name I carry is Talhuilam. I'm from the Stumanus First Nations territory here on Vancouver Island, just in the middle of Cowichan and Nanaimo First Nations. Hence the Halkamenam. I'm from the Coast Salish territory here on Vancouver Island. Before we start today's work, I'd like to share a greetings, a prayer song, and a few words to the Creator before we start today. I'd say, Stehst des Jahr weinst, si Nasalhuan, na si ya, na eli Schwatlaqua, Hide say the Quasiala, a Tanaquea, I Yatzelt, E Tzitziwatzels. Like to acknowledge our dear respected friends and our relatives, our elders, friends and relatives, thankful to all for being here today. For that the work that we do, we work together in a good mind, one thought, one heart. Not so much squalor. Titwe sense. Oh, 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 yeah. Uh, Priya Sansa, Chiya Sansa, Nishtanashta, Chiya Sansa. Aichka tzitza siema tanakwea. Tzitza siemni tichumni amastata aichqualo in the tanakwea. Tzitza siemni hakushasata natsama squalo in a tanakwea. E tamak squea. Statlamsta. Thank you, Technical Safety BC. May today's Core Connections event 2025 be a blessing today. Thank you all for your patience this morning, and I thank you for your time today in acknowledging Technical Safety BC for allowing me to take part in your work today. Haichka, Haitzayapka.
Thank you, Doug, for being here today and for getting us started in such a nice and good way. Our next presenters this morning are Technical Safety BC's Board Chair, George Abbott, and our President and Lead Executive Officer, Phil Gota. Welcome, George and Phil.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you today and thank you for joining us. On behalf of Technical Safety BC's Board of Directors, welcome to Core Connections 2025. I'm privileged to join you today from Victoria, speaking with you from the unceded territory of the Lekwungen peoples, including the Songhees and Esquimalt nations and the Wasanich peoples. I also wanted to say thank you, Haishka, to Doug Harris for getting us off to such a great start here this morning. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to Technical Safety BC's leadership team, our employees, clients, and partners for being here today and for your ongoing commitment to safety. Before I share my reflections on the past year, I wanted to share a few thoughts about the role of our board. Technical Safety BC's Board of Directors is responsible for ensuring good governance of the organization. We provide oversight, guide leadership, and work to assure partners, clients, and the public that the province's technical safety regulator is stable and able to continue to perform its functions as a key driver in British Columbia's safety system. In 2024, we welcomed Kathy McIntyre, Abigail Fulton, and Manjeet Bains, and I'm pleased to have their knowledge and expertise on our board. I'd also like to extend my thanks to outgoing board members Nancy Ohlweiler and David Guscott for their dedication to the safety of British Columbians. In addition to our standard governance activities, the board is focused on the long-term success of Technical Safety BC as an organization and the resilience of the broader safety system. This past year, we worked to review the organization's data and artificial intelligence practices and policies, as well as our financial sustainability models to ensure they are aligned with the current and evolving landscape. We also utilized the board's diverse expertise, along with the insights of external experts, to support various initiatives, including our capability for oversight of emergency preparedness and cybersecurity. Part of our board's governance commitment also pertains to our work around Indigenous reconciliation and the threat of climate change. As an example, last year, Technical Safety BC examined its role in safety equity by working internally and with partners to better understand the connections between the safety system and Indigenous nations. Through our climate action work, we continue to proactively manage safety risks by understanding how climate events like wildfires, heat waves, floods, and extreme cold snaps affect the technical safety systems we regulate and those who rely on them. We also continue to support Clean BC's decarbonization strategy by enabling the safe adoption of low-carbon technologies. We do this in partnership with Indigenous communities, utilizing both Western and Indigenous knowledge systems, and we seek to integrate equitable access to safety into our solutions to improve the well-being of British Columbia. As we head into the second half of 2025, I want to acknowledge that this is a challenging time in the world and for our province, and I know this uncertainty is affecting many of you. But I want to assure you that Technical Safety BC is here to support our clients, partners, and the safety system. Despite these challenges, our organization has demonstrated its resilience and agility by fulfilling our safety mandate while still investing in business transformation measures. I'm confident that we have the right strategy, approach, and the right people to continue building on that resilience, regardless of the headwinds that we face. If you're interested in learning more about Technical Safety BC's contributions to the safety system over the past year, I'd encourage you to read a couple of documents. One, our annual report, and secondly, our State of Safety report, both available at technicalsafety.ca, technicalsafetybc.ca. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today and for your continued commitment to safety. It is now my pleasure to introduce Technical Safety BC's Lead Executive Officer, Phil Gotha.
Great. Well, thank you very much, George, and good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today as we look back on 2024 and to the year ahead. Like Courtney, I am speaking to you from our Vancouver office on the traditional lands of the Coast Salish peoples, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, who have been stewards of these lands since time immemorial. I'm grateful for the opportunity to continue to learn and be guided by the wise practices of First Peoples, both personally and professionally. So reflecting on the past year, I continue to be inspired by our collective work to strengthen the safety system. We are safer together, and I want to thank all of you for your commitment to keeping British Columbians safe. I've said it before, and it's such a critical point that it bears repeating. We are all accountable for building and maintaining technical safety across the province. And to enhance that accountability, Technical Safety BC continues to prioritize making it easier for us to work together. Digital transformation is a key focus of our multi-year business transformation program, and we are making great progress. For example, last summer, we introduced our new online licensing system, improving the experience of both clients and employees. As a result, 83% of new and renewal licenses are now being completed online, and processing times for new electrical and gas licenses have gone from 15 days to 4. I'm also happy to share that since launching the new system, client satisfaction for renewing licenses has increased to 96% in the first quarter of 2025. We're now shifting focus to improving our permitting system so it's clearer, more consistent, and timely. By simplifying your interactions with us, We are working to keep regulatory friction productive and reducing what is unnecessary. When I think about our role as a safety regulator, a significant part of how we provide tangible safety benefits and demonstrate value to the safety system is through our incident investigation program. Last year, over 600 incidents were reported to us, including those involving rail. We investigate many of these incidents to better understand safety hazards in BC and to share these learnings with safety system participants. Last year, 70 incident investigation reports were published on our website and shared with industry and the public, helping us learn and make better safety-minded decisions together. An example of this is our investigation following a major waterslide incident at a Fraser Valley water park last summer. The learnings from this investigation included 3 specific recommendations for water park owners on how they can work with industry to prevent future incidents like this. We also investigated a serious electrical incident that occurred at a large, well-known retail business on Vancouver Island. This incident involved fraudulent certification and unqualified laborers doing electrical work with no supervision, despite the involvement of a licensed contractor. This led to an arc fault, causing burns to a worker's hands, face, and eyes. The circumstances that led to this incident happen within what we refer to as the gray market. We'll be talking more about this during our upcoming plenary session, so please stay with us for that. Our assessments and incident investigations also provide valuable data that highlights trends and safety system risks. Today, as part of our annual State of Safety report, we're releasing our top 5 safety risks from the past year. They once again include carbon monoxide exposure, electrical fires, ammonia release, electrical shock, and gas leaks due to gas line hits. The data gathered from these findings inform how we work together to minimize these risks. It also allows us to target education and enforcement efforts where they can be most effective in saving lives. I want to talk a bit more about the gray market because our data is showing that it's becoming more prevalent in today's economic reality. This includes unlicensed, uncertified, unpermitted work. With looming economic uncertainty, people are looking for ways to reduce costs. It is easy to think about cutting corners by not getting a permit or choosing to use an unlicensed contractor. But the reality is those decisions can put people's safety at risk and can have financial implications. In 2024, we conducted over 1,700 investigations and 2 regulatory audits related to compliance and enforcement. These activities resulted in 112 compliance orders and 18 warning notices. 2 financial penalties were also imposed. Incomplete or undervalued permits are also a gray market issue. This occurs when someone gets a permit with a specific scope, but doesn't update the permit if that scope changes. To address this, last year we launched a campaign to improve permit compliance. And we made sure contractors knew we'd be auditing and enforcing the rules to keep everyone safe. Based on this campaign, we saw nearly 1,100 amendments to existing permits. By building greater integrity and knowledge into the safety system, we're helping reduce gray market activity. You'll be able to learn more about this during our plenary session at 10 a.m. As I've mentioned a few times today, economic uncertainty, unpredictability, and upheaval are things we are proactively planning for, so we are as prepared as possible. Technical Safety BC is self-funded and a not-for-profit organization. Our revenue is generated from the products and services we deliver. So if our clients are under financial strain, that has a direct impact on the safety system and our organization also. We know new construction starts are down, which means fewer permits for installations like elevators, gas, or electrical. And fewer permits means lower revenue. The good news is we kept to our conservative budget for the first quarter of this year, and we are prepared for potential storms on the horizon. We have successfully navigated recent uncertain times, the pandemic being only 5 years ago, and I'm confident we will manage today's challenges as well. So what is the path forward? In addition to strengthening the safety system, I want to talk about what Technical Safety BC is doing to strengthen our economy. Through our regulatory oversight, we play a small but important role in housing construction, and we are focused on being a productive safety partner to industry and government in finding solutions for growing housing supply in BC. You've probably heard political leaders talk about breaking down interprovincial trade barriers to open new markets and kickstart our economy. As part of this, we are working to make it easier for Canadians from other provinces to get certified in BC. Same with design registration. For example, if you have registered a design for a pressure vessel in Manitoba and you want to build it here, you can submit the approved design to us and we can register it in BC quickly. We call this reciprocal registration, and you can find more information about this on our website. You've likely heard our governments talk about opening new markets for Canada by speeding up major infrastructure projects, especially in the energy sector. This means that within the scope of our mandate, we need to be efficient and effective in our oversight also, including working closely with Indigenous communities and First Nations who choose to develop or play a key role in these large projects. So to sum up, I'd like to reiterate that through the data we collect, the lessons learned from incident investigations, and the important work you all do in the safety system every day, we are safer together. While there's a lot of economic uncertainty ahead, Technical Safety BC is prepared. Regardless of what the future holds, I can assure you that we remain steadfastly focused on supporting the safety system. Our foundation is solid, and our talented team continues to do leading work together with you and all safety system participants to make our province safer every single day. Thank you. And with that, I'll hand it back to Courtney.
Thank you so much, George and Phil. Now, please join me in welcoming Wesley Ma, our Vice President of Finance, who is going to provide our 2024 financial update and how we're tracking so far in 2025.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you all for joining us today. Like Phil and Courtney, I'm speaking to you from Vancouver, and I'm grateful to be able to work here as a guest on the traditional unceded territory of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam Nation. As Phil and George mentioned, 2024 was marked with significant external pressures, including volatile housing market and high inflation. We know the economic challenges over the past few years has been difficult for our clients. I know you may have to work harder, be more patient completing projects, or pivoting when material were in short supply. But for amusement, for those in amusement and ropeway industry, you may be concerned about what is happening in US while affecting tourism and recreation this summer, or be excited about the opportunity of more Canadians staying here to enjoy our beautiful country. There are lots of uncertainties, but at a time of uncertainty, it's also when we are pushing to be more adaptable and creative to effectively pivot and refocus. As we navigate those challenges together, I want to first thank you, our client, safety partners, contractors, owners, and those affecting safety every day for your unchanging commitment to keep safety as your top priority. Now, like many of you, we continue to assess the threat of a changing tariff with its ability to push BC into a recession and reduce the construction activity or consumer spending. So recently, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business reported a sharp decline in business sentiment and consumer confidence to the level that even lower than pandemic levels, pandemic times, and even 9/11. As our permit revenue is closely tied to the customer spending and business investment, we are managing these uncertainties by using agile budgeting, diversifying our investment, and finding ways to build financial resiliency. We do this because our commitment to our safety mandate and supporting our clients doesn't change regardless the market activity or cross-border tensions. With that said, I can share a very high-level snapshot of our 2024 financial result. So in 2024, our service revenue increased by 4% or 3.5 million compared to 2023. Despite the increase, we actually did fall short of the expectation by 2.6 million. So our total service revenue was 82 million in 2024, and we had 2 million extra income from investment and other income. And in 2024, we invested over 6 million to fund the digital improvement as part of our multiple-year business transformation program. Those investments are designed to make it easier for clients to interact with us, as well as to enhance security, stability, and simplicity. As Phil mentioned, those investments is already delivering many benefits for our clients. The online certification renewal went up by nearly, I think, 31% in 2024, and client satisfaction increased by 7.5%. And in 2024, we focused our resource on the most important projects that benefit the safety system and make it easier for clients to work with us. Meanwhile, we are managing our spending very carefully. So as a result, our expenses were under budget by a lot. So together we had a small surplus of around $500,000 last year. So if you like to know more further details about last year's finance, please review the 2024 annual report on our website. It's disclosed all those information. And in this year, 2025, I'm pleased to report that our first quarter came in on budget, but we're anticipating an economic downturn, which will negatively affect construction industry and our permit revenue. With this in mind, we have conservatively budgeted for 2025, and we will continue to proactively manage our finance, remaining agile to adapt to the change. We will leverage the efficiencies and keep delivering on goals set out in our business plan. And we will use our reserves to keep funding the investment into the safety systems, such as expanding our digital service, so clients can easily have access to whatever they need whenever they need it. So now I will conclude by saying the challenging time doesn't last forever. With the collective strengths, we can get through this together. I'm comforted actually by our clients, safety partner, and our employee who advocated for safety every day. So I want to say again, I sincerely thank you for your commitment. So now I will turn it back to Courtney.
Thank you so much, Wesley. This brings us to our Q&A period. So this is an opportunity for you as clients and safety partners to provide feedback, share ideas, and have your questions answered by our executive team and our board chair. For those of you who are wishing to submit questions, as a reminder, you can use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We're going to answer as many questions as possible, and questions may not be answered in the order that they're received. Any questions that we cannot get to during this session will be posted on our website, along with recordings from today's event. Questions that are inappropriate in nature will not be answered. I'll now welcome back George, Phil, and the executive team for your questions.
Thanks very much, Courtney, and the executive team for joining me here this morning. So we're slowly getting some questions that are trickling in. And why don't we just launch right into it? We don't have a lot of time. A lot of them seem to be, at least initially, for Derek Patterson. So Derek, can I ask you to join me for this first question? It's a short one, and it said, would you please provide more detail on how TSBC works with First Nations? Derek?
Thanks, Phil. yes, we try to take a very community-centric approach to how we deal with First Nations, because the issues that we see arising in different communities are not always the same, and the communities do not always want to be supported in the same manner. So we have one situation right now where a particular community in the Lower Mainland has asked us to support them more broadly in performing site assessments and working with them and in overseeing the work that's happening in their community. And so we are working specifically with that community to determine what it is that they would like us to do, and the frequency and all of the rest of that. And it's also sometimes we also need to work with our ministry partners, because some of these lands are not within the scope of our mandate in particular. And so it has to be determined how our government may also support us in being a positive partner for that community. So it differs by community, but we are always interested and take very seriously ensuring that safety messaging gets to the different communities, and that they know that we are standing willing to support when needed.
Great. Thank you very much, Derek. I'm going to throw it around a little bit so we get different exec who have a chance to participate. The next one is a question on our gray market activity, and I'm going to ask Kate Bailey and Kate Parker to support on this, and we'll start with Kate Bailey's response, followed by Kate Parker. The question goes, I'm concerned about the lack of oversight with the installation of residential heat pumps. Unqualified work is the norm, refrigerant leaks are standard, residential permits rarely necessary. Can we expect any progress on this front? So can I ask Kate and Kate to join?
Sure, Phil, and I'll give a start to that. So we, one of the things we have identified, especially with current rebates being offered for heat pumps in the province, there's certainly a surge of that activity going on, and we have noticed an increase both in our own permits and also in the gray market. One of the things that we've noted with our own heat pump permitting process is that heat pumps often require more than one permit. If both gas and electrical work is being done, then it's actually 2 separate permits. If there's also additional boiler work, then that's 3 permits. We recognize that that can be challenging and sometimes confusing for people. So one of the first things we need to do, and that we have done, is really clarified those requirements for industry. And then really we have to make sure, that within what is happening that we know of, that all of that is happening appropriately. So we've already started work with our clients in the system to make sure that this work is properly permitted. And then we're also working with partners in the safety system like FortisBC. In many cases, they know where the work is being done. So really a lot of this can be accomplished through data sharing with other organizations in the environment, where sometimes we don't have all the information about all of the activity that's going on, but somebody else does. And so that's our opportunity to identify where we may not be getting permits at all. And so those are activities that we've undertaken recently and that we're continuing to push forward. And then I invite my colleague Kate Parker to really talk about kind of the operational and compliance end of how we are further pursuing folks that are not perhaps participating in the system.
Perfect. Thanks, Kate. So in addition to the work that we're doing with our safety partners, as well as making sure that all of our licensed contractors, as well as, excuse me, homeowners who may be working in the heat pump area or having a heat pump installed, we always start with information and supporting people in the safety system. But for those who are choosing not to participate, we are working with our compliance and enforcement team to ensure that people who are consciously choosing not to take out the right permits or to play in the gray market, first are very aware, and second, we are working directly with them to ensure that we can guide them back into compliance. The one thing that I would encourage this questioner to do is if you are aware of a company or a person who is doing unqualified or unsafe work, please let us know. We do have a reporting line on our website. We follow up on 100% of those tips or concerns that are brought forward to us, and we will make sure to learn more. I can share that our safety officers across the province are aware of this, and they've got their eyes open and peeled for it. So the more information you can share with us, the more we can ensure that we're bringing people into the system to put safe equipment into homes and into businesses.
That's great. Thanks very much. I just want to acknowledge there was another question that I think both of you answered with your response. And for the submitter, I want to acknowledge your question about what TSBC is doing to ensure proper permits are being taken out on heat pumps over 5 kilowatts. So I hope that response also works for that question. The next question I'm going to throw is on our finances to Claudio, and maybe Wes can come up as well if there's anything to top up. But the question is, how do you come up with $6 million budget for a digital upgrade? So I'll ask Claudio and Wes to join for that question.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. So we started what we call our digital transformation project in 2021. And as many of you know, we already deployed the new certification and licensing modules. And these are not only IT projects, so there is a significant IT component replacing the system, but we are also simplifying the processes. And as Phil mentioned earlier today, we are seeing the benefits of certification and licensing. So we are seeing shorter turnaround. So people are getting their certificates or their licenses faster than before. And we're also seeing an increase in client satisfaction. We are now focusing on permits, and we are expecting to release boilers and pressure vessels and refrigeration permits earlier next year. The question about how much we are spending, or how we know we are spending $6 million. So $6 million is approximately the annual spend that we have. We have been spending between $4 and $6 million since the beginning of the project per year. And we are expecting to continue on the same spend level for the next few years until the project is completed.
Yeah, I can pop up a little bit. Thank you for asking that question. But if the question is around how do we fund it, I can add a little bit. We took our reserve to fund our capital investment normally, and it actually takes years to build up that reserve. And as a non-for-profit, we have been on a balanced budget for decades. So and we need to build up that reserve over years by finding internal efficiencies and super tight on cost management to save money, to find some surplus. For example, last year we significantly cut down our discretionary spending to generate a small surplus, and that surplus goes to our reserve, and we can use that reserve to enhance our system digital structure through the capital funding. So yeah, thank you for asking that question. It's not easy, but we're trying to give our saving back to the safety system.
Great. Thank you, Claudio. And Wes, we're going to go to a couple of questions about government. I'll ask Derek to join me. The question, let's see what I'm not entirely sure what they're asking, but here we go. Maybe you can help, Derek. How does TSBC work with project managers in BC government to ensure work done by government agencies complies with regulations and codes? Maybe you can describe a bit, Derek, how we work with our government partner.
Okay, in terms of working with our government partner, when it comes to work being done by government, if it's in the technical realm, if it's building housing development projects or whatever, I mean, generally our mandate still applies. And so we will still expect that work to be done to the applicable codes and standards. There may be cases where a particular government agency might claim that there is some exemption to certain requirements, But where that type of assertion gets made, we will check in with our responsible ministry and confirm whether that, in fact, is the intention. But generally, work being done with government, what we can do when there's it's a government agency that is doing the work, we will ensure who is on point for overseeing what aspect of the work, in case there may be some other agency as well that may be engaged in overseeing. So we can support in that regard. But that's what I'd say on that, Phil.
Great. And I wonder if you could just stay up with me, Derek. There's a couple of other government-related questions. I'll take this next one and maybe a stab at the second one as well. The first question is, what kind of role are you playing? What kind of role are you looking at playing in the new one economy, not 13 economic approach of the country? So I would start with a response to that in saying that, you know, we are a provincial regulator, and by virtue of what we do, we do understand that we are friction in the marketplace. We are safety friction, and we're very focused on making sure that that's productive. So we certify individuals like power engineers, elevator mechanics, field safety representatives in electrical, and also have a codes and regulations certification for gas fitters. So if folks are coming from outside of province, you know, we have a role to play to make sure that they transfer their certifications and that we do it in a very clear, consistent, efficient, and effective way. And it also includes equipment that may be coming and is approved in other jurisdictions. Or if a licensed contractor, we have licensed contractors who live and are based in Alberta and do work in BC and are licensed with us as well. So we understand the role we play, and we're very focused in working with government to make sure that safety is not compromised, but at the same time, we're very effective and efficient and not putting up undue barriers. So that would be my response to the one economy. Maybe I'll go to this next question. And Derek, if you're still with me, you can top up. The question is, I am concerned the province might cut corners in trying to fast-track infrastructure projects. How are you going to ensure safety is not forgotten or ignored? Do you want to take a first stab, Derek, and then maybe I'll top up?
Yeah, sure, Phil. So in the scope of work that TSBC is accountable for, and we oversee a lot of, we have a role in overseeing the parts of the operations of some very large infrastructure projects in the province, including the LNG Canada facility, for instance. And so I have not seen, we have not seen any intent to cut corners in the technical safety space. In fact, we are encouraged by our ministry to fully perform our role, and we work closely with the operators to ensure that they are abiding by the regulations or the terms of safety management agreements if they are working under an alternative safety approach situation. And so we have not seen in the technical safety space any evidence of cutting corners.
Great. I don't think I have much to add to it. Questions are coming in fast and furious. Thank you, everyone, for bringing. Some are quite technical, so we'll do our best here. I wonder if I'm in the codes and standards section of questions. Maybe, yeah, this next one. Thank you. And we'll throw it to Kate Parker. I have an elevator, 2-story lift, that is not registered with Technical Safety BC. It was installed at least 15 years ago. I have gotten mixed information from installer and TSBC on how to get it registered. How did they install it without a TSBC permit? It is on First Nation land, so possibly a factor. So Kate Parker, do you want to take a first stab at that?
Yeah, certainly. And so to answer this question, one of the things I will say is we probably need a bit more information from this questioner. And so I welcome you to please reach out to me directly after, but I'll do my best to answer with what we know right now. So if the lift is in a commercial building, it is required to be registered. Right now, lifts in residential buildings, residential homes, aren't legally required to be registered with us, but we would encourage you to voluntarily register with us because it's important for us to have that information. The other thing that's really interesting is that First Nations land is not legally overseen by the provincial government. In many aspects of the building code, it is overseen by the federal lands. And so there are lots of factors in this question that I want to make sure that I'm answering correctly. So please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you by email. What I would say is the more information we have, the more we can help you ensure that the elevator is registered accurately and that you are getting the right support from our Elevating Devices team.
Thank you, Kate. I'm going to throw this next question to Ob. It's in our other section. It's a long question, but I'll read it out as Ob's coming on. Given that only approximately 7% of construction sites are currently inspected, what strategic steps is Technical Safety BC taking to enhance the sustainability and long-term quality of installations, particularly in electrical and mechanical systems, to ensure contractors are held to higher standards, even in the absence of frequent physical inspections? Are there plans to leverage technology, increase randomization, or integrate more accountability mechanisms to close this gap and elevate industry performance? Ob?
That is a great question, and that is a big question too. Actually, it's one of the biggest questions we are continuously working on at Technical Safety BC. We all live in a beautiful, big, and highly diverse province with more and more equipment being installed, and that grows every day. So we have to bring our best game to that, and I'd like to state we all have to do that. So in the safety system, we all have a role to play. And ours, Technical Safety BC, is that of providing technical oversight on the safety of equipment. And we use a variety of approaches there. We, of course, work with our people to make sure, with our clients, to make sure that they hold the right certifications, that they're qualified to do their job. And in us making sure that they live up to that, yes, we use artificial intelligence to screen all the work that happens in the province, to help determine where can be, where maybe be most needed to provide our oversight, to provide an inspection. We do random sampling to make sure that we develop a baseline of what's going on within the province. And we rely heavily on our people as well to know which of those many sites are most likely to need our help, our support in making sure that safety continues to be maintained. It's a big question. I think everything that you put forward in your question is what we are doing, and we are working every day to improve that and to add to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ob. I might just top up with a few additional comments. That the questioner used the wording to ensure or assure frequent, contractors are held to higher standards. And that is absolutely our focus. I think you may have heard, if you were on the video at the beginning, there's no way that Technical Safety BC can be everywhere all the time. And I would suggest that it's not actually desirable for us to be everywhere all the time. What happens is there's just too much reliance on us for quality control, and we need to assure that we're supporting contractors, licensed contractors, certified individuals with the knowledge they need, and that we hold them to account as well to do the work properly and to inspect their work as well. So that's very much our approach. That doesn't mean we do not inspect. We absolutely do. But it's really in service to facilitating and assuring that the work that the contractors are doing is to the higher standards. So thank you very much for that question. I will send the next one to Kate Bailey. It's for the top safety risks shared. What is some of the proactive work you are doing to prevent or mitigate the risks? Kate, can I ask you to answer that?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, this is a collective effort across the organization. We know that safety comes from the people in the system making good decisions. And so when we talk about sort of treating our top 5 risks, we think about what are the things that will help people make better decisions. And so some of that is awareness of the risks that they may actually be creating in the work that they're doing. And so we use, communication tools for that. I'll use CO, for example. Carbon monoxide poisoning is our top risk. And the interesting thing about carbon monoxide is that you see it in all sorts of places. So you see it in residential situations, you see it in institutional situations, you see it in commercial situations and industrial situations. So it really is a wide-ranging risk. And so when you think about all of those audiences, they each need different ways of thinking about how different ways of reducing this risk. What we found with CO is it's most likely to impact people in marginalized communities and in Indigenous communities. And so we really look to focus our efforts in places where the risk is highest. And we use all sorts of tools there to address the issues. So one of the things that we're really focusing on is languages. So one area where we have the opportunity to really communicate better is for people who don't have English as a first language. So how are we going to approach that in CO in the future? We obviously run broader English language campaigns. Last year, for example, we partnered with the BC SPCA to talk about some of the incidents that we have seen where pets have been impacted by CO poisoning at a couple of their facilities. So we really look at a variety of tools to treat these risks, all of them really focused on behavior. A different example is, for example, in chairlifts, one of the key sources of risk is people falling from the chairlift because they lift the bar too much. And in that case, what we found is actually the best intervention in that case is signage. So we have all the tools in our toolkit, and we really try to figure out who are we talking to, what is the best way to reach them, and then what is the best mechanism to help them make a better decision. And we approach all of our risks that way, and we have a team that's really working hard, actually under Derek's team, to really identify those root causes so that we can get to those really effective solutions.
Great. Thanks very much, Kate. I'm going to ask Kate Parker to join for this next question about boiler safety officers. The question goes, we are very pleased with the role boiler safety officers have been playing in the new hospital construction project. However, I have some concerns as many of the BSOs involved are nearing retirement, and gaining the level of infrastructure knowledge they possess takes significant time and training. How does TSBC plan to address this knowledge gap and ensure continuity in expertise as these experienced officers retire? Kate?
Yeah, thank you for this question, because it's something that we're very aware of and something that we're actively working on. So one of the things that we do at Technical Safety BC is we look at succession planning, and not just for bodies and seats, but also for the intellectual capital and the information and knowledge and experience that our safety officers carry with them. And we don't want to lose that when they choose to retire and move on to another season in their lives. So one of the things that we are actively looking to do is, as we look down the road towards where we see impending retirements, is starting to pre-plan. How can we bring people in before that safety officer leaves so that they have an opportunity to mentor a new safety officer coming in, share their existing knowledge? We have also found opportunities to have safety officers who retired come back to support, sometimes on an as-needed or part-time basis, where we know that their skills and expertise is critical to continuing a sustainable relationship or support in a specific area or industry. And we are always looking to bring new safety officers in, because we know that new and emerging technology needs new and emerging information as well. So trying to bridge the gap between a more senior safety officer who's been with us a long time, sharing knowledge with a new safety officer, but also recognizing that new safety officers are coming in with new ideas, new innovations, and more knowledge for the industry that they can share.
Thank you, Kate. Questions are coming fast and furious. Our question sheet's getting longer and longer. So if you see my eyes darting around, I'm trying to spread the wealth a little bit. The next question is on climate and decarbonization. So Derek, I wonder if you can join me for this one. It's right at the bottom of the sheet. We all acknowledge the importance of creating strategies for decarbonization. I am curious about how you can support businesses that are innovating ways to reduce the carbon footprint. And maybe there's a second question, Derek, that talks a little bit about reducing regulatory and administrative barriers to implement energy efficiency conversion projects, and then also about some inconsistencies at the local inspector level on such projects. So maybe if we can talk a little bit about what we're doing to support that area. Derek?
Yeah, there's a lot in there. We do have an internal climate action and sustainability team that really does a lot of work with external stakeholders. It works with the ministry, the government, many ministries within the government, but it also works with external stakeholders like BC Hydro, Metro Vancouver, the Pacific Institute for Climate Solutions, in coming up with different programs and projects to look at how climate change is impacting different communities across the province. We know that climate change has disproportionate impacts, impacting marginalized and Indigenous communities more than some other communities. We're also looking beyond that to the technical risk sphere to understand how some of the climate change impacts we're seeing are actually raising or introducing new types of technical safety risks into the technologies we oversee. So that's an important new development. And in terms of spreading the knowledge, we do, as Kate Bailey was just talking about, public information campaigns are an important part about how we share that knowledge relating to climate-related safety issues, whether that's relating to wildfires or floods, what communities can do, what homeowners can do to take preventative steps for themselves in those instances. But the work that we do in this area extends all through the piece. It also engages our technical teams when they're in technical code committee meetings to reflect what are new climate-related issues that need to be addressed in terms of code evolution. So in the electrical codes, we now have provisions that deal with electric vehicle management systems, that deal with electrical vehicle storage and all of that, because we are looking toward a future where electrification of the built environment is something that is a focus and a priority for the province. And we've taken steps to upgrade the awareness and understanding of our internal staff, including our safety officers, by creating a climate change and technical impact learning series that is available to all of our employees. And there have been various different awareness tools that are on our website that speak to different things for homeowners and others about here are some things you need to be aware of relating to whether it's relating to the use and benefit of new heat pumps that you can use in your environment or otherwise. So it's a really broad and holistic effort that we're trying to take to dealing with this from a regulatory standpoint, all the way to equipping people with better information to be safe out there in their communities.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. And I might just top up in saying that, as Derek has said, we're very aware and committed to the climate crisis and the work that needs to be done. And we also know that a lot of that work is about innovation. And we certainly understand at Technical Safety BC that we play a role in that. We play a role in facilitating safe innovation. And it's something that we're very focused on doing. I'm being told by my facilitator here, we have time for one more question. And I'm going to jam two into one to go over to our railway section and get an opportunity there. Maybe just before I do that, so I'm going to ask Kate Bailey to join for that. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your questions. It really makes this town hall feel very useful and very engaging. There are many questions I didn't get a chance to get to. As Courtney had said, they will be posted on our website and we will respond to them in writing. But to wrap it up, Kate, we have two questions from our railway safety program. And the first one is, Technical Safety BC used to hold town hall meetings with railway stakeholders and work in consultation with industry experts in our province. Can we expect to see a return to this? And I'll just tag on, will there be a return to town hall meetings for railway safety stakeholders? So I think it's kind of the same question, Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for the question. I think, one of the things that we, rail, as with all of our technologies, things ebb and flow. And so we absolutely are, want to make sure that we understand and keep our finger on the pulse of all of our industries, including rail. And so we are sort of using various tools to do that. In the past, we have used town halls, and as things sort of heat up again, we will reenact town halls as a way to bring people into sort of our sphere to talk about specific issues arising with rail. That said, if you have sort of things that you would like to talk to us about at any given time, and there isn't a town hall opportunity available to you, then we really encourage you to use our Contact Us link on the website. And that goes directly to my team, which is the Market Insights and Engagement team. And we can always set things up on an ad hoc basis. If there's an issue that you are facing, that you are concerned about as an industry, then we are absolutely open to creating an environment for us to speak about things that may not be kind of within our cycle of sort of normal sort of regulatory work. I do think also when you sort of speak of experts in the environment, our rail team is constantly in contact with experts in the rail environment at all levels of government and regulation to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse of that industry on a regular basis. So, there's also opportunities through those people to bring issues to our visibility.
Great. Thank you very much, Kate. Thanks for finishing off with that. And thank you again to everyone for your questions today and your engagement. I will send it now back to Courtney.
Thank you everyone so much for your questions. You can also find more details about our business performance and our priorities in our annual report, which is now available on our website. And if you're interested in a snapshot of how we're supporting the safety system, our annual State of Safety report has also been published on our website. Both are available now at technicalsafetybc.ca.